All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get this party started, shall we? Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. In the last chapter, we pretty much found out how the heroes were able to fool All For One to getting out in the open, bringing all of his subordinates there, and then we all see that Shinzo was part of it, Monoma was part of it, and it really brought to light how these side characters, who we all thought would just remain on the sidelines, are now getting their time to shine as main characters. They're no longer, as Monoma used to think, bit players. They are now front stage people now. And now they have a major impact on where this next plan that they're about to enact is about to go. Because in the process, they pretty much lured all of the villains into a spot where these cages erupt from the ground and encase them all. And then now it's the hero's job to shove them all into different gates to pretty much separate them. All For One and Tomura all know that they can just easily break out. Grant says, I can't stay. It's been 3 months since you read My Hero, so you're on your way behind. Just want to say hi. It's been a while. It's good to see you as well, Grant. You can go ahead and head out right now because I'm about to continue on about what's about to happen in this chapter. So you go ahead and catch up when you can. That way you'll be able to, be on the same page as me. So take your time, and I can't wait to see you when you're fully caught up. Good to see you as well, Nico. All right, so the plan that's being enacted right now is that they have all the subordinates, all the villains encased, where they're trying to shove them through gates in order to separate them. And now we get to see what happens in this chapter, in chapter 345, Division. And now it shows the gates being shoved backwards, with everyone getting tossed around, with people saying, "This cage is moving? They really think this tin can is gonna hold us?" And then Himiko Toga says, "Break it open quickly!" And she thinks of Midoriya. And then it shows Anomu breaking out of the gate as well. And then it has Toya coming in saying, "Your pathetic cages didn't even last 3 whole seconds." 3 seconds. And then it shows someone standing up in the light, with them saying, 3 seconds is all we need. And then it shows Burnin, who's right there in front of a lot of the villains. It shows pretty much a whole bunch of heroes who are right there in front of the villains, keeping them by trying to keep them from getting out of the cages. And it has it saying, "Lock them down for an instant. Break them into smaller groups." And then Bakugo chimes in saying, "Deku!" And then Midoriya says, "Yup, seize the slightest advantage. All of this to shove you into those warp gates all at once and split you up without fail." And then Monoma, with his crazed laughing, thinking of this plan, goes, "I am the mover and shaker!" And then it has another hero coming in saying, "How absurd. You mammoths must have sunk a fortune into this plan just for this. I'm impressed. We've even got a strategy to counter that nasty decay quirk." And it has them continuing with them trying to shove them into the gates, with him saying, "You swaggered in like you owned the place, but now you'll be scattered to the winds." And it has the heroes and everyone else doing the best they can to shove them all into gates. And then all of a sudden, Midoriya's arm gets grabbed by something, with Bakugo screaming because he doesn't notice it yet. And he says "Ah! Come on! Cram him in there!" And Midoriya gets pulled into an adjacent gate off to the side. And Midoriya's all like, "What?" And then Bakugo's looking back, seeing Midoriya go through the gate, and he's all like, "Huh?" And then it shows that the entire battlefield is scarce of many of the high-ranking lieutenants who are gone now, and they're stragglers, with All Might saying, "Fat, take command down there and mop up the stragglers, and look out for young Aoyama." Roger. And then Fat Gum is right there with Aoyama saying, "This is the place where you fall? One heck of a bluff there, Squirt." Merci. And then Monoma is right there with someone calling back saying, "Get back to Aizawa, Monoma." And then Monoma, with a smile on his face, says, "The mastermind retreats. They're divided. Now we shift to phase 2. And it shows all the villains being dropped in an area where all the heroes are preparing to fight them. I see All For One. I see all of his villains, all the Nomu, and all the heroes coming out of their respective spots where they're prepared to fight now. And then it shows that Hawks is directly behind All For One, and he just says, "Welcome, fellas." And then All For One immediately gets hit in the face with him saying, "The Gunga Villa site. I see." And then Hawk says, "Sorry to say, Endeavor, I knew you wouldn't show it with armor I could actually crack." "Relax, I didn't have my hopes up anyway." And then Endeavor says, "We learned in Kamino that your ooze warp is an inferior version of what Kurogiri can do, All For One. It must have shorter range and you can't warp yourself either. The UA barrier got some upgrades with that in mind. At the end of the day, your hubris is going to be your downfall." And then All For One continues to speak with him saying, "Splitting us up to divide and conquer. A fine plan, I suppose. That is, if you were actually hoping for a shot at victory. The sharp decline in the hero population meant dividing our forces was a necessity. Fair enough. But you're a cruel man, Endeavor. Pitting one for all against Tomura is a deadly knife's edge to dance upon. But the most brutal part of this little scheme has to be you're forcing your youngest to clean up your own mess, no matter how much it pains him." And it shows Shoto standing directly in front of Toya. With and All For One continues saying, "But the most brutal part of this little scheme has to be you're forcing your youngest to clean up your own mess, no matter how much it pains him, and the unceasing abuse towards your eldest child." So he's talking about pitting Shoto versus Toya right now. And what in the world? Apparently, the whole area that they were in, all of UA, is flying. It's a flying fortress. It's a flying fortress. Is this what Principal Nezu invested every single bit of his money into? All of UA is just a massive flying fortress now. What the heck? And then Tomura is there saying, "UA, what's going on?" And then Bakugo is there. Bakugo is there with Best Genius, and apparently Tomura Shigaraki is there too with Bakugo saying, "Denim Head, bad freaking news! They got us good! Deku ain't here!" And apparently Midoriya was pulled into the gate, the same place of Himiko Toga, Asui, and Uraraka. And that rope that was tied around him was none other than Himiko Toga's needles. She dragged Deku in. She dragged Midoriya in. But Uraraka's looking shocked, saying, "Deku, why are you here? You're supposed to be with Shigaraki." And then Midoriya's thinking, the fourth danger sense didn't trigger. And then it shows Himiko Toga just glaring at Midoriya. She was aiming for Midoriya the entire time. And now Midoriya is stuck where Himiko Toga is, separate from where Tomura is. Because Tomura just teleported inside of the UA place. Now Midoriya is stuck with Uraraka. I see Gang Orca in the back. Sue. And a whole bunch of Nomu along with Himiko Toga and some other villains. Every time. This series has proven every single time it looks like any side is about to have a major victory with no mishaps. The other side does something that causes that mishap to just go off the rails. Every time the heroes have a good stroke of luck, one little thing happens that just throws it off track. Because it was going fine. It was going fine for the heroes until Himiko Toga somehow managed to have a gate appear next to Midoriya, which I find strange how a gate was directly next to Midoriya that she was able to pull him through in the first place, because last time I checked, Monoma had control of the Kurogiri gates right now, and Kurogiri is nowhere around. So how did that gate open up for Himiko Toga to drag him through? But every time it seems like the heroes are about to have one major victory and things are actually lining up nicely, something goes awry. So now Midoriya is not where he needs to be, because he's supposed to be facing off against Shigaraki right now, but Shigaraki is by himself inside the UA Fortress. The flying UA Fortress right now. Every single time they try to have a win, the villains always do something unexpected that just throws the whole plan off. But let's talk about all the things that's happening. So all the things that's happening right now is that the major people are all separated. There's still stragglers with Fat Gum taking command and mopping them all up. Midoriya got pulled through another gate all of a sudden. Endeavor, Hawks, and a lot of the other major heroes are facing off against All For One and the other villains that got pulled through the gate as well. And Hawks tried his best to slash through All For One's mask, but it did absolutely nothing. And it turns out, he says the Gunga Villa site. So apparently, this is the same location that All For One lured. I want to say this is actually, you know what? This is actually the same villa where the Para-Liberation Army was at before the heroes came and just ransacked the place. And this was during the time before Gigantomachia ran a rampage. This is when they all got to the villa, all the heroes got to the villa and just started fighting all the villains that were here. This is what's left of the place. So now they're all fighting each other. All the people that got pushed through the Kurogiri gate are all fighting each other here. Endeavor's here, Hawks is here, Kamui Woods. Everybody, every major person and every remaining hero is still here. I see Mirko as well. Actually, is that Mirko? I see the Wild Wild Pussycats. Tokoyami's there. I don't see Mirko. Mirko must be someplace else because I do not see her in this whole panel. But major heroes are fighting the villains here, while Shoto and the other students of UA are fighting against Toya and the Nomu. And then Shigaraki apparently got teleported inside the floating fortress of UA itself, with Best Jeanist being, I want to say, being around there as well. Best Jeanist is there as well, with Bakugo letting him know that, hey, we messed up. Deku ain't here because Midoriya got teleported to the spot with Uraraka and Asui to the place with Himiko Toga. So that's something that happened. That's that chapter. Wow. Danger Sense didn't even activate, so Toga has no intention to hurt Deku. I'm excited to see what Toga will do next week. Yeah, that's interesting. Danger Sense only activates when a person with hostile intent is going to do something to Midoriya. But it didn't activate. So Himiko Toga's intentions are apparently not hostile, maybe? We'll have to see. I hope Nico says, I hope Mirko will fight against Shigaraki. We'll have to see how well she'll do against him. I mean, he still has his decay quirk and pretty much all of the other quirks that's in his body right now. So it's going to be a pretty destructive battle. I'll say that much. Who knows what he's even going to do there since he's separated from everyone else. But it'll be interesting to see where this chapter goes from here. All in all, this is yet another good chapter. Like I said, every single time it seems like the heroes are about to get a win, the villains do something that just throws a linchpin in everything. That just throws a screw into the gears of their plan. Every single time. But every single time the villains do that, the heroes persevere and still come out on top. Best Jeanist and Bakugo versus Shigaraki is something I didn't imagine Horikoshi going to give us. This should be interesting. It should be. Best Jeanist fighting, because we mostly seen him restraining people. So I can't wait to see. It might not even just be Best Jeanist and Bakugo who are there, because there's probably more people there. Who knows what other heroes are there in the UA Flying Fortress right now? We're just going to have to see for next week's chapter. My goodness. I don't know what to say. It's just that I am so looking forward to the matchups that's about to happen. I did not expect Midoriya to be pulled into the air with Himiko Toga, along with Uraraka and Asui. I did not expect that, so that kind of surprised me. But we're just going to have to see where the story goes from here. Pretty good chapter. Sorry if this seems like this stream is going to be a little bit shorter than the other ones, but I pretty much covered all that I needed to cover for right now. This is supposed to be phase 2 of the hero's plan in order to take down All For One and all of his subordinates. This is supposed to be phase 2, and it's already gone off the rails a little bit. Because Midoriya isn't where he needs to be. He's supposed to be facing off against Shigaraki. And now they got to worry about Himiko Toga right now before they get to Shigaraki. Who knows? This could be like a talking conversation, or it could actually be a fighting conversation. Who knows? It depends on where the conversation goes between Himiko Toga and the two people that she's actually had a heart-to-heart talk with. Mostly with Uraraka and Himiko Toga, because remember the last time when she was talking to Midoriya and she was talking about, I never did really think of Himiko Toga as a person. I just saw her as a villain. And she was second guessing herself of how she responded and talked to Himiko Toga when they met each other after Makia ran through a city and she was just in an abandoned building, destroyed building, and they were just talking with each other. And Uraraka's just wondering if she gave the best answer to Himiko's question. So maybe we'll see the continuation of that conversation between Himiko Toga and Uraraka, and even maybe get Midoriya's 2 cents on the matter as well, because these are two people that Himiko Toga is kind of close to, but not in the best of ways. Midoriya, because she's strange. I wouldn't call it infatuated, but she just wants Midoriya. Strangely enough. Not to love or anything, but just she gets excited whenever she sees Midoriya, and Uraraka as well. Two people that she really doesn't mind going out of her way to see whenever she can. So it's going to be interesting to see these two individuals that she thinks about more than anyone else. It's going to be interesting to see the conversation that they have. And let's not forget Toya versus Shoto, the eldest son versus the youngest son. The mistake versus the miracle child, to say the least. The one who hates his father versus the one who started to love his father again. Brother versus brother. This is going to be an interesting matchup to see Shoto fight his oldest brother, his oldest sibling. It's going to be interesting to see that. So, yeah. My Hero's setting up some really good verses right now. Shoto versus Toya. Midoriya, Uraraka, and Asui versus Himiko Toga. Shigaraki by himself in UA along with Bakugo and Best Jeanist. some of the other pro heroes, including Endeavor and Hawks versus All For One and the remaining stragglers that got pushed through the gate. There's so many things to cover. It's going to be interesting to see what Horikoshi has in store for us next week. But that's all I got for this chapter. I just think that this is just yet another calm before the storm, because things have gone from bad to worse for the heroes right now. Things are not going according to plan, so hopefully they can adhere to it, adapt to it, and make the best out of a worst-case scenario. But I'm really interested in seeing what this conversation between Himiko, Toga, and Midoriya and the rest of them is going to be like. I'm really interested in that. So we're just going to have to see. But that's all I got for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I know this was shorter than my One Piece reaction, but you know how it is. It's much easier for me to get through a My Hero Academia chapter than it is with One Piece, because there's just so many things to talk about in those chapters as well. And My Hero is just I'm able to get through it quickly without, being too stuck on one thing. So I am glad I'm able to get everything that I want to say out. But that's all I got. Time to move on to my One Piece episode reaction. So with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing or even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. Whew. What a day. What a day for One Piece. What a day for My Hero Academia.